ninjutsu, articles on striking of the Heika Jodan no Maki of the samurai, says that fights with razor-sharp katana could break out unexpectedly, resulting in swords being swung free to cut one another down. These kenka, as they were called, were different from the uchihatashi, or a formal duel between samurai to settle disputes. Uchihatashi could take place in a predetermined location, whereas a kenka could happen anywhere. One can imagine the wide varieties of environmental obstacles and conditions that could be present during this sort of altercation, such as uneven terrain, innocent bystanders, and the walls or ceilings of a building. For example, in one of the Utsu articles, Uchihatashi Kotobo Ukeyo no Koto, there is an explicit reference to katana getting lodged into timber frameworks, most likely from dodged cuts or poor manipulations of the blade not conducive to closed off or tight spaces. If your katana gets embedded several inches deep into wood from a miscalculated strike, you had best act quick to defend your gap before the opponent fills it with 3 feet of razor-sharp steel. This is one reason that samurai, and yes, even shinobi, carried 2 swords, the short sword being the backup if, for whatever reason, the primary katana failed. The second sword was also used to protect oneself from a coup de grace to the neck when advancing through an enemy gate. Getting the drop on an advancing enemy is an objective any intelligent defender would seek to set up, and this was just the case with blind corners. Shinobi knew this, and so this is where we get a historically validated example of when a shinobi would actually carry the sword on his back to defend against a blade held high in the shadows that would be used to cut down the shinobi as he moved through the gate. The shinobi's short sword was placed against the tsuba of his katana to make a cross that could protect his flesh. As the shinobi started through the threshold of the gate, the blade in hiding would come sailing down. Immediately after the enemy around the corner took a swing that was deflected, the shinobi would close the distance and pierce like a sewing machine with the short blade. The point of this is to draw attention to the reality that sword fighting in feudal Japan was not always a competition to see who was the better man, so to speak, or what we would call fair fights between equally matched opponents. Far from it. If a samurai, and particularly a shinobi, could use the advantage of surprise to overcome the enemy, it would be, and was, used. I am speaking about fighting from cover, using concealment, and unorthodox tactics such as assassination that shinobi were known for. Take the example of stabbing through mosquito nets and shoji screens to eliminate a target. This stuff isn't made up, it was a historical tactic of the shinobi. Now, getting to the target location to carry this kind of assassination out could require climbing with a katana, crawling with a katana, jumping from heights that could require rolling with a katana, and wielding other tools with a katana that can make things noisy and cumbersome if the shinobi always carries his swords at the waist. And so this is why I put forth the argument that there was no one way for a shinobi to wear a sword, for it was moved around the body and carried in various ways depending on the circumstances, terrain, obstacles, and objectives that he faced. If a shinobi is in an enclosed space, drawing the blade can be impeded by the walls, especially if it's carried at the waist. If laying silently, waiting to cut at the lower extremities of an opponent, the katana cannot be drawn from the hip. Sure, in this example, the blade could be left exposed, but this increases the reflectivity and chances that you are seen. Also, crawling beneath floorboards is much easier when the blade is off the waist, and if you are climbing, it is much easier to climb with a katana on the back. Remember that shinobi carried swords in a manner consistent with their role and mission requirements. Nothing in their text says always carry your katana at the waist.